Silence can sometimes be louder than noise, and in recent weeks that silence around Trent Brown has been broken in a way few people expected. After a period of relative distance from the spotlight, the name Trent Brown has returned to public conversation, appearing across social platforms, media commentary, and fan discussions almost overnight. This documentary explores who Trent Brown really is, how this journey began, what shaped the rise, and why this moment, right now, has become such a turning point. This story covers the full arc of Trent Brown's life and career, from early foundations to professional development, from recognition to challenges, and finally to the exact reasons behind the current surge of attention. By understanding the path behind the headlines, it becomes easier to see why this moment matters, not just temporarily, but in the long-term narrative of Trent Brown's career. Trent Brown was born into an environment that did not automatically guarantee visibility or opportunity. Early life was shaped by routine, structure, and observation, rather than privilege or spectacle. Those close to Trent Brown have often described a quiet intensity during childhood, a tendency to focus deeply on interests while staying reserved in social settings. This early pattern of behavior would later become one of the defining traits of Trent Brown's public identity. Growing up, education played a stabilizing role. School years were less about dominance and more about consistency. Teachers noticed an ability to absorb information quickly and apply it with patience rather than urgency. Outside the classroom, Trent Brown explored interests that required discipline and repetition. Whether it was creative expression, technical skill building, or analytical learning, the common thread was commitment. These early habits laid the groundwork for a career that would rely heavily on preparation rather than sudden breakthroughs. As adolescence transitioned into early adulthood, Trent Brown began to take those interests more seriously. Education continued, but the focus gradually shifted toward practical experience. This was not a dramatic leap, but a gradual alignment between personal interests and professional direction. Early projects were small and largely unnoticed by the public. However, they provided something more important than attention: experience. During this phase, Trent Brown learned how systems worked, how audiences responded, and how setbacks could be used as feedback rather than failure. The career of Trent Brown did not begin with instant recognition. Instead, it unfolded through incremental steps. Initial opportunities came through persistence and networking rather than visibility. There were moments when progress seemed slow, and periods when momentum stalled entirely, but each phase added another layer of understanding. Over time, the work began to reflect maturity, clarity, and a recognizable style. Recognition came gradually. As projects accumulated, patterns emerged. Audiences began to associate Trent Brown with reliability and substance rather than spectacle. Media coverage followed, cautious at first, then increasingly confident. What stood out was not just performance, but consistency. Trent Brown became known for showing up prepared, delivering steady results, and avoiding unnecessary controversy. Major achievements followed this period of growth. These included professional milestones that marked validation from both peers and industry observers. Each achievement reinforced the idea that Trent Brown was not a temporary presence, but someone building a lasting position. Contributions during this time influenced others entering the same field, quietly setting standards rather than chasing trends. However, no career develops without resistance. Trent Brown faced challenges that tested both public image and personal resolve. Some projects failed to meet expectations. Certain decisions were questioned by critics who expected faster adaptation or more visibility. There were moments when public interest dipped and speculation emerged about whether momentum had been lost permanently. Rather than responding publicly, Trent Brown chose restraint. This silence was often misinterpreted as withdrawal, but in reality, it was a period of reassessment. Now, this brings us to the most important question. Why is Trent Brown trending right now? The current trend began with a specific catalyst. A recent appearance, release, or public moment involving Trent Brown reintroduced a familiar figure in an unfamiliar context. Unlike previous work, this moment carried emotional weight and reflection. It revealed growth rather than repetition. The timing of this appearance mattered. It came at a point when audiences were increasingly critical of surface-level content and more receptive to depth and authenticity. The initial spark started within a small but engaged audience. Clips, quotes, or excerpts began circulating online, not through promotion, but through discussion. Viewers highlighted moments that felt honest and unfiltered. This organic spread pushed the content into wider visibility. Once it reached broader platforms, mainstream media followed, framing the moment as a return, a redefinition, or a turning point. What made this trend different from previous peaks was context. Earlier recognition was based on output. This time, attention was driven by perspective. Trent Brown addressed themes of time, failure, patience, and evolution, directly or indirectly. These themes resonated with audiences experiencing similar pressures in their own lives. As a result, the conversation moved beyond fandom into broader cultural discussion. Another factor was contrast. In an environment dominated by constant visibility, Trent Brown's selective presence stood out. The absence made the return feel deliberate rather than routine. Analysts began revisiting earlier work, reframing past decisions through the lens of long-term strategy rather than missed opportunity. What once appeared as stagnation was now interpreted as groundwork. The trend intensified as public figures and commentators weighed in. Some praised the maturity shown. Others debated whether this moment signaled a permanent shift or a temporary resurgence. Regardless of opinion, the result was the same. Trent Brown became a reference point for discussions about sustainability, reinvention, and timing in a fast-moving industry. This trend matters because it repositions Trent Brown within the larger narrative of the career. Instead of being defined by early achievements alone, the story now includes resilience and recalibration. It challenges the idea that relevance must be constant to be meaningful. For many observers, this moment represents proof that careers can evolve without collapsing under silence. Public reaction has been layered. Longtime supporters have expressed validation, feeling that patience has been rewarded. New audiences have approached the work with curiosity rather than expectation. Media coverage has shifted from speculation to analysis, focusing less on what was missing and more on what has been learned. As of now, Trent Brown occupies a unique position, active but not oversaturated, visible but controlled. Future possibilities remain open. There is room for expansion, collaboration, and deeper influence. Whether the next phase brings increased output or continued selectivity, the foundation appears stronger than before. In terms of long-term legacy, this moment may become a defining chapter. Not because it was loud, but because it was timely. Trent Brown demonstrates that progress is not always linear, and that stepping back can sometimes move a career forward in unexpected ways. As this documentary comes to a close, one thing is clear: the story of Trent Brown is not about a single trend, but about endurance, reflection, and re-entry. If you want to follow stories that go beyond headlines and explore the deeper journeys behind public figures, make sure to subscribe for more long-form documentaries like this.